Hi everyone. My name is Frankie Fingerling. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I also like to call myself a purveyor of side quests because I am one lucky duck with autism, ADHD, and a whole bunch of other fun, invisible situations. It is my honor and privilege to be here emceeing Art in Mind 2025, Art in Mind, COVID, Climate, and Our Future. I'd like to say a special hello, and thank you to the kind folks and patrons at Last Ditch Lesbian Bar based in Greenfield, Massachusetts for streaming Art and Mind. Thank you so much, and hello! And to everyone else, hello, and thank you so much for joining us from wherever in the world the internet has connected you to this amazing event. For those of you just joining us here, I'm Frankie. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a light-skinned East Asian non-binary person with short, bright pink hair, pink glasses, and I'm wearing a dark green blouse with pink, red, and white flowers on it. I'm also wearing a pair of black and white over-ear headphones so that I can hear everything that's going on here. Um, I also have a virtual background with bright green blades of grass behind me. I'm speaking to you live from Amiskwaciwâskagen, which is the Plains Cree name for the area colonially known as Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. It has been the home, the meeting place, traveling route for many Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Niitsitapi, Stoney Nakoda Sioux, Saulteaux, Dene, uh, Métis, and many other Indigenous peoples, recognized and unrecognized by the systems and institutions in place here. But they have been here for generations. Um, Throughout the evening, the speakers and the artist host featured, sorry, I have ADHD, so from time to time I may get distracted by things that change in front of me. Throughout the evening, the speakers and artists featured at Art and Mind will also be doing what I did, which is providing a self-ID or self-description, including their pronouns, a visual description, and land recognition, just to make the event more accessible for more people in our audience. I have some other accessibility and housekeeping that I'm just going to quickly walk through here. So please note that this event is being recorded, and an edited version of the recording will be shared at a later time. But the documentaries that you see shared today, they will be made available on YouTube tomorrow. Any copyrighted music that you hear will be removed. ASL interpretation is made available for you tonight thanks to Pro Bono ASL if needed. So to access ASL interpretation, you can view the interpretation option on your Zoom taskbar. Open captioning is in each video that we showcase, and auto captioning is also available in Zoom on that bottom bar with a number of buttons. And there will also be some content warnings that we will post when necessary, and they will also be made available to you in the chat. Tech will be a collaborative effort tonight between some of our amazing team members at Art in Mind 2025. Our lovely Han Hamill will be monitoring the event and will do their best to support the audience. So please feel free to private message Han on in the Zoom chat. I believe they're Han and then they, them, tech That's the name that you'll be looking for. And you can just send them a quick message if you need some help. And thank you very much to Keith Jones, who will be helping us share and screen any videos that we share today. So thank you so much to Keith. Um, to help create us as safe of a virtual environment as possible, everyone's mics, aside from the hosts and co-hosts in this event, everyone's mics are off by default, but we'll have some Q&A segments in the event. And if you wish to speak, you just need to raise your hand or use the raise hand function from the Zoom menu at the bottom of your screen, and then I will enable your mic for you. You can also enter questions that you have, comments into the chat. Honestly, blow up the chat tonight. Throughout the night, you're free to send messages, share your love through emojis, texts, punctuation marks. I like the exclamation mark personally. But if you need to raise any concerns or you have some questions about kind of the tech side of things, or you just have some other concerns to raise, again, you can just report any harmful language to Zoom by clicking on the meeting information icon. That's at the top left corner of your Zoom window. And then in the bottom left corner of that meeting information dialog, you can click report, and then it'll report it to Zoom. But also please message Han, so Han Data Tech, in the Zoom chat, just to make sure that our team is made aware, and we will act as soon as we are able. Finally, this is a virtual event, which means that glitches or hiccups might happen, and things might run a little bit longer than we hope for them to, but we will try to get things back on track, if that happens, as soon as we can. Art and Mind, COVID, Climate, and Our Future. That is one heck of a theme. That is big. It is a wild timeline for us to be living in right now, and you know yourselves best. So, as an event made by and for disabled people, please take care of yourselves, however that may look for you. I personally have a fidget. It's a little tie-dye silicone T-Rex that works like reusable bubble wrap. But if you have other fidgets, if you need to stim, if you have a choice beverage at hand, a blanket, anything to support you however you need, that's definitely encouraged and welcome. And if you find that you need to step away for a bio break, take a sip of water, or just, take a breather or a break from screen time and then come and rejoin us, that's totally cool. And without further ado, I want to invite someone so special to help us start things off in a good way. It's our event opener and closer, Brenda McIntyre. Brenda McIntyre, known by her Indigenous name, Medicine Songwoman, is a COVID-conscious, neurodivergent spiritual mentor, speaker, hand drummer, and Juno-winning singer. She is on a reconnecting journey back to her Red River and Lac La Biche Métis roots through her late birth father, and she has settler ancestry through her mother. Brenda developed her own body of work back in 2006 to help women find their voice. Her trauma-informed teachings and practices come from personal experience, song, and connection to spirit. Brenda uses voice, drum, and music in her virtual mentoring, remote classroom sessions, and virtual public workshops to help people find their voice and rekindle their inner fire. Brenda is going to do a self-ID and then open our event. So please welcome Brenda McIntyre.
Miigwech, hi. Thank you so much, Frankie. And it's so good to see everybody here. Oh, it's going to be a beautiful night. Tansei, just saying greetings in Cree. I'm Brenda McIntyre. My pronouns are she and her. I am a light-skinned, hazel-eyed indigenous woman with mid-length, um, salt and pepper, wavy, dark brown, black, and all kinds of colors hair, and black studio headphones. And I'm wearing my blue rimmed glasses and a Métis designed Every Child Matters orange T-shirt made by my friend, and that is in honor of September 30th coming up, Orange Shirt Day here in Canada, also recognized now as National Day for Truth and Reconciliation here in so-called Canada. I'm also wearing an orange floral print kokum scarf and a lovely little necklace with rainbow colors beaded by an old friend who has been missing for about 2 years. And so I'm just wearing this to remind myself to offer prayers out to her because she put so much healing into this necklace. My background is a multicolored, native colored blanket with diamond shaped patterns and kind of fall colors with some blue. And I want to welcome you and the ancestors who walk with you and whose wisdom lives in your blood. I'm joining you with gratitude for this sacred virtual space that has been created and that we are all co-creating. And my sacred physical space on McKee Treaty 2, traditional territory of the Mississauga, Anishinaabe, and Attawandaron peoples, where Dashkan-Zibing Antler River flows in so-called London, Ontario. I'm medicine songwoman, settler by mother, and Métis by father, but no Métis citizenship, just a trail full of cousins, ancestors, and script. Tremblay, Ladacre, Cardinal, Desjardins, Villebren, Allery, Beaulieu, Swain. Some of my many Métis family names. 7 generations of Red River and Lac La Biche flow through these half-breed veins. I know who I am. Deep, deep, deep. Maskikinakamoesque Onisigas in Calgary, Chinia. I am medicine song woman, born in Calgary. Adopted at birth on Treaty 7 lands, identity erased by my birth mother's hands. I can never be free with my true identity. When laws were put in place and they keep finding ways to stop me, I do not have permission to be. Is that why they refuse to see me? My voice speaks for me. My voice sings a secret melody, sets me free, releases me from the COVID oblivious colonial idea of who or how I should be. I am me, you are you, and we are so much more than we. I'm going to read you a poem called The Opening, which I had written not really knowing I was going to use it for this. But here we are at the opening. I am not a door. I am the opening. I cannot be locked or blocked. If I refuse to be used to shut down connection, I will not uphold the falling foundation of a so-called nation or the Western world that worships domination over all of creation, over liberation and illumination, over clean air and water, over mothers and daughters, over life lived free, over you, over me, over. So-called society was never built for people like you and me. It was designed for the rise of power and greed while the needs of the people and the land are impeded. Their wisdom and outcries always unheeded. The seeds that are freed turn to plants and trees cut down, some labeled weeds, medicines and food that feed all of our needs, if we choose to heed the call to be. So who can we be and what do we need? No more closed doors, hearts and minds open. Latitude over platitudes, community over corruption, harmony over destruction, fear flow over fear-mongering, community care over hungering. We are like waterfalls. We are overflowing because we are not doors and we will not be closed. We are the opening. I'm going to share a song. Let's tune into our hearts just for a moment. And someone tell me when I'm running out of time. I'm going to watch that because I'm going to channel a song. But I have a backing track right here. See if you can hum along and tune into your heart. We can connect all of our hearts right now in this moment just by being here together. But if you hum, it's regulating your nervous system and helping you feel better too. Breathing all the way down in. Letting the sound ground. Miigwech, hi, Marcy, thank you so much. And welcome to the show. We are really going to have so much fun and tears and laughter. And yeah, enjoy the show. Hi.
Whoa. Whew. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda, so much. Medicine Song Woman, I should say. For grounding us and centering us and starting things off in a good way. I don't know about you, but my heart is already up to here. Oh, okay, it's good I have, my fidget and my glass of water. We are 25 minutes in, and this is where I am, you guys. Thank you. I felt that through my whole body. I don't know about all of you, but that's where I'm at. I'm gonna find my words again, I swear. Welcome, everyone, to Art in Mind, COVID, Climate, and Our Future. It is my pleasure to introduce the mastermind sister-daughter, oh, sorry, mother-daughter duo.
That's okay.
That's fine.
I'm finding my words again. Oh, okay. The amazing mother-daughter duo, Sista Creatives Rising, Amaranthia Sepia, and Claire Jones.
All right. Hi, everyone. All right. My mom's going to speak first.
Hi, my name is Claire Jones. Thank you, Brenda, for that beautiful song. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Black woman wearing black headphones, and I have salt and pepper short hair. And I'm wearing a pastel color kimono, nature theme kimono with frog jewelry and pink and brown necklaces. I'm sitting next to Amaranthia on a black and white couch with sunflower and lotus cushions with some flowers in between. We reside in New Hampshire on Pennacook and Abenaki Wapanaki lands. Thanks everyone for coming. Today we are continuing to create change from our couch as we bridge gaps from the past to the present and to the future. Our slogans. Amaranthia will now open the show.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Amaranthia Sepia. My pronouns are she, her. I will do a quick self-ID and I'll go into my speech and then we'll go into the documentary. I am a 25-year-old Black woman with round glasses. I have yarn braids that are black and red. On my two braid bangs, I have two sunflowers and some butterfly clips. They're golden. I have headphones on, a funky denim jacket with some comic print, yellow shirt with a sunflower, and some metal cups in my hair. So thank you. Also a fellow Bajan, I think, in the chat. I think so. Yeah. So yeah, I will read. COVID is not over. Through Sista Creatives Rising, we raise awareness about COVID and its ongoing effects on our communities, BIPOC, disabled, and queer. According to WHO, the international health emergency has ended, but COVID-19 is still an ongoing pandemic. Everyone, not just disabled people, is at risk. According to Forbes, 1 in 5 adults with COVID-19 develop long COVID, and according to the University of Nebraska Medical Center, each subsequent COVID infection will increase the risk of developing chronic health issues such as diabetes, kidney disease, organ failure, and even mental health issues. Sorry, wait, I think I lost my space. Oh, no, there it is. CNBC News states that in 2021, COVID cases need to fall between 10,000 a day to reach normality, but we need to achieve 3,300 per day for the nation to gain control. According to the CDC, wastewater data and infectious disease modeler JP Wayland, we've continuously seen over 100,000 cases per day. And in September, we're currently at 850,000 cases per day, according to the CDC and PMC19.com. JAMA Network states that 60% of cases have no symptoms. The EPA states Indigenous communities are at higher risk of disease accelerated by climate change. In the US, Indigenous people experienced the worst decline in life expectancy due to COVID, dropping by 6.6 years. They were also nearly twice as likely to die from COVID compared to white Americans. Essence.com and Capital B News states the cost of AI generation in data centers, whether generating AI art, writing, music, or asking for a chatbot to do research causes immense harm to Black communities. In active environmental racism, the tremendous demand and creation of data centers are disproportionately affecting Black neighborhoods, and these centers utilize massive amounts of fossil fuels, introducing lung-damaging pollutants and cancer-causing chemicals. Billions of gallons of water are diverted from drought-prone areas to cool these data centers, causing water scarcity in Black and brown communities. The UN Refugee Agency says an estimated 90 million displaced people live in countries with extreme climate-related hazards. Nearly half of all forcibly displaced people are bearing the burdens of genocides, conflicts, and the adverse effects of climate change, including Palestine, Sudan, Syria, Haiti, Congo, Lebanon, Myanmar, Ethiopia, Yemen, and Somalia. According to The Guardian, a classified Israeli military intelligence database indicates 5 out of 6, or 83% of Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in Gaza have been civilians. Despite these tragedies and genocides worldwide, we're gathered here to provide hope and light. Although we'll do our best to touch upon several topics tonight because there's so much happening in the world, with each art in mind, we ask our artists and audience, how can your story positively impact others? Our stories can uplift each other despite the daily pain and suffering. And with this event, we hope to not just educate and show the value of virtual gatherings, but have you join us in understanding and hearing these stories of multi-marginalized creatives and feel encouraged to take action for humanity to reach peace and prosperity through the arts. We're excited to introduce 3 COVID-conscious documentary artists, Anahita Sharma, Serena Brown, and Monda Millions. We also have our speaker, social worker, Brittany Shropshire, brief guidance by Jennifer McZear, climate change activist of Mexican Indigenous descent, Veronica Lee, Helen Hamill of Mass NH, and multiple video showcases. Many Q&As are featured, and you'll see our froggy mascot Lilette throughout this evening. We're excited to share that the art store will open in spring 2026. The show is divided into 3 acts, with the first featuring our documentary and a panel. And we dedicate this 3rd show today to our late disabled kitty, Feel Good ambassador and co-founder Mina Serenity, Hans Cat Paisley, Cheese Dog Orion, and thank you to our sponsors, NH Women's Foundation, Dancing Queerly, NH Panther, North Star Black Cooperative Fellowship, and Black Women in NH Collective. Thank you to our community donors, and please enjoy the event. Make sure to have tissues on hand. All right, take it away.
Our 3rd event focuses on themes of COVID, climate, and disability, and through our documentary short featuring 3 BIPOC, disabled, and immunocompromised artists, we hope to raise awareness about the ongoing effects of COVID-19. COVID isn't over, and the rise of long COVID, disability rights issues, displacement, and environmental damage. We want to educate people on how these issues have isolated many disabled artists and how art can be used as a tool to empower and uplift others, fight against these injustices, and imagine an equitable and empathetic world. Through this theme, we feel it's imperative to highlight Indigenous experiences about COVID and climate, with our event underscoring the impact on Native American communities and the plight of Indigenous Palestinians as they suffer from loss of shelter, food, clean water, famine, rampant disease, and loss of their ecosystem. We hope you can join us in understanding and hearing these stories and feel encouraged to take action for humanity to reach peace and prosperity through the arts. In our opening, with the help of our new blue froggy mascot, Lilith, we're showcasing the ecosystems our team and artists reside in. Please enjoy. Where there is suffering, there's hope and community. Our stories can bring comfort to those who feel alone. How can your story positively impact others?
My name is Anahita. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a South Asian woman with tan skin, brown eyes, and black hair. I have several visible tattoos and facial piercings. In this photo, I'm smiling and looking slightly above the camera while wearing a dark pink dress and jewelry. I've been working as an artist across various mediums for the past 5 years and as a tattoo artist for the past 9 months. All art can be sacred personal practice, and tattooing is no exception. I love tattoos as adornment and as a physical display of significance. My body is special and important to me, so I've decided to decorate it. My art piece is a tattoo of a moonflower I've done on myself. Moonflowers only bloom at night, so they can symbolize resilience and growth in dark times. Trigger warning, my video will depict the process of a tattoo. There may be blood and plasma briefly visible. There will be tattoo needles on screen. My voiceover includes mentions of medical issues and mortality. In 2021, I was diagnosed with a rare and sometimes fatal autoimmune disease whose potentially fatal complications almost always involve the lungs. I was in pain, scared, in full isolation, still in the beginning of an ongoing severe respiratory pandemic. When I was first diagnosed, I asked my rheumatologist if this could kill me. She paused for a moment before answering, "I don't know yet. We'll keep an eye on it." For the first 26 years of my life, I'd wanted to be a parent more than anything, but my suddenly shorter life expectancy was terrifying. I'd already talked myself out of my concerns around raising children in a dying world, but once my disease was layered over COVID, which was layered over the climate crisis, this was harder to ignore. Almost 4 years later, my partner and I have landed pretty firmly on being child-free. The world has gotten even worse than it was a few years ago. We've come to the conclusion that, for us, it is simply not ethical to bring a child into this world, this dying world, with a mother who might be dying. And yes, I know we're all dying, thank you. With the pandemic running almost entirely unchecked, with the climate changing at unprecedented rates and in unpredictable ways, with a rapidly shrinking estimate for how long it'll be before we're at the point of no return. I turned to Assata Shakur's words for comfort, her words about not letting the oppressors kill the babies in her mind before they were even born. For a while, I used it to justify having children, despite there being so many strikes against it, and despite my complete inability to bring them into a world worth living in. But eventually, my mindset changed. I am about life. I'm gonna live as hard as I can and as full as I can until I die, and I'm not letting these parasites, these oppressors, these greedy racist swine make me kill my children in my mind before they are even born. I've thought about it more and more recently, not as a reason for me to give birth, but as a reason against it. I've started to think of the babies in my mind as creative works I hope to bring into the world. Pro-lifers often ask questions like, what if the cure for cancer was in the mind of a baby that had been aborted? Predetermination aside, I want to ask instead, how many people could have given us extraordinary, life-changing works if not for the cultural obligation to have children? The rest of Assata Shakur's words still ring true for me. After being put on my own miracle drug and going into remission and realizing what it meant to be pain-free for the first time, I am all about life. Life and passion and creation and connection, and experiencing as much as I possibly can, knowing I'll have less time to experience it than most. I want to squeeze as much meaning as I possibly can out of whatever time I have left, whether it's 5 years or 30. I want to experience the heights and depths of my capacity for feeling. I want to cry and laugh and love and scrape myself up from the pits of heartbreak and ride the wing of elation and drift comfortably in between for as long as I can. I lived a muted and painful and timid life for so long that I have no choice but to be hungry for everything else. I want to feel it all and run it through a sieve and distill it down to pure meaning and dispense it through my art. I want to show others what it is to feel as deeply as I do. I wish the world understood the huge risks I'm taking with my life when I try. I want to help build a softer, safer world. I want a world in which my peers can trust that their children will grow up safe. I want a world that doesn't force me to risk my life each time I need medical care, that doesn't see me as disposable. I want to live long enough to bring my art into being.
Hello, I'm Anja the librarian here in the library, and I am virtually presenting Ordinary Superstar Mondo Millions. I'm a light-skinned, black, trans masked person in a black sweatshirt that says Black Trans Lives Matter, with a red rose and green thorns print, green glasses, a gold chain necklace, and gold moon earring with dangly quartz crystals. So how about you? Tell us about yourself, sir. Hi, I'm Mondo Millions, he, him pronouns, and I am a deaf black trans drag king based in Sacramento, California, also known as the Farm to Fork capital. I am a light-skinned black trans mask person. I have a beard, I have really eyebrow, and I have a curly fro as well. My outfit is basically a green shirt with a black shirt that says I'm rooting for everybody black and trans because I'm always representing my community and proud to do so, and black shorts. But I am wearing socks. For myself, I find that being in Sacramento has allowed me to kind of have an understanding of how privileged we are in California to have the sort of consistent weather that we have. But unfortunately, I've noticed that there has been an increase in more climate change related incidents. You know, like our summer heat has been ramping up year after year in ways that are unprecedented. Thank you for that very thorough intro. And also, I love that our fashion vibes together. We didn't even plan it. So I guess we're just in sync, I guess. So, let's get to it. As a disabled and queer black person, especially as a queer black drag king who also navigates like being trans during COVID, like how has COVID and climate change and all of those kind of repercussions that come with that affected your artistic practices, and tell me a little bit about what you wish people knew. So due to being someone who grew up with the California wildfires, I had gotten used to wearing masks. And then, COVID hit, and it wasn't this bizarre concept to wear a mask. And I think that helped a lot, actually. It helped in terms of understanding how important the well-being of my lungs were. Understanding that, wildfire, smoke in the air can have so many long-term negative impacts. And I'm masking, and the government rolls everything back, and everybody was just starting to not mask anymore. COVID was still very much a thing. I realized that every ongoing performance I did, where I was trying to see if I could risk my life for those like 1 hour events. I couldn't do it. I had to stop and start pulling back on my performances, and I tried to advocate for mask required audiences throughout the pandemic because a lot of people were just still doing drag shows and stuff.
I've had so many of these same thoughts myself, interestingly enough. Are 3 key things that you kind of hope to see for current and future generations, and why?
So like, you know, the Black Valley Review, which is a Black queer disabled virtual variety show. I realized that this show was something that I hadn't seen before. Part of why I created my show was because I couldn't find any representation in that regard. Like, wanted the disabled queer community to have safety here in Sacramento. I wanted us to be able to live long enough to get old, and trying to bring up how much drag has been negatively impacted due to having roots in white supremacy and historical norms around both transphobia and racism. I thought that this was something that could change.
Know that the data backs up a lot of what you've been saying today, and you know there's organizations like Sister Creators Rising that are doing their best to sort of educate people and figuring out creative ways to do so. Resources like our local mask blocks as well. And that brings us to the end of our interview. I guess full credits.
Hi, my name is Serena Brown. I use they, them pronouns. I am a South Asian Italian American artist. I've got brown skin and brown eyes, cropped black hair. I've got teal makeup on the inner corners of my eyes and gold facial jewelry and a magenta hoodie. As a disabled and queer person of color, my artistic practice has been shaped in big ways and small ways by COVID and climate change. This means I'm thinking about access in terms of so many things, like physically, can I get through the space and can my friends with mobility aids get through the space? Is there anything happening about clean air? And environmentally, what's going on? Is it too hot or too cold? Is it air controlled? Is there an air purifier? Things like that. I think about all of these things, and if a space seems inaccessible to me in 2 or 3 ways, that is very likely meaning I'm not going. And it means I miss out on a lot of experiences that people who do not take COVID precautions are afforded. Things like going to big conferences and residencies and traveling and networking. But in this loss, it means I get to create more accessible spaces for people in my same position. And that is where Frequent Crier Club comes in. That's a space which started as a joke, mocking my crybaby tendencies, but has grown into a shape-shifting, disabled, art-based community space. I hold online events and some in-person mask-required events where we gather, we take care of ourselves, and we make art. The art making is secondary to the taking care, and that feels essential. And through my work with Frequent Crier Club, I've been able to fundraise for causes important to me, just like Palestine. Palestine is both a COVID and a climate change issue. For example, COVID safety measures are not very possible or practical during an ongoing genocide. COVID vaccines are not permitted into Palestine, and the bombings and near constant death and destruction mean there's no stable infrastructure for people to stay safe. It means climate disasters are escalating at an alarming rate. It means people are becoming disabled day after day, and they don't have access to care or rest in any meaningful way. So with all of this in mind, I've teamed up with a few Palestinians to fundraise on their behalfs, using my art platform as the ticket. I created this sticker, which is the Palestinian flag, made out of ripped paper, and overlaid on top is a neurographic drawing, also made out of cut paper. So it was very delicate, and I wanted to make it a sticker so that it is highly shareable and easily dispersible all over the world. This is my artwork that I'm also really excited to share. It is called Chosen Family. It is a number of layered neurographic drawings made with acrylic and different consistencies of acrylic to understand that where we started is not where we're going, and we can change patterns even if they're rooted in history. We can move in whatever directions we need to in community. So that's what this piece is getting at. I hope you enjoy it. My 3 hopes for the next generation are that there is an end to genocide globally, that there are more accessible opportunities for disabled artists, and that everyone can afford themselves meaningful rest as much as they need. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, everyone. I just want to invite you all to take a couple deep breaths. There were a lot of feels, a lot of stories, a lot of things that really resonated with us. So I need this too. It's for me. So just a deep inhale in and out. And one more in and out. Thanks for doing that with me. I needed that. Um, that was a lot. And so much of it resonated with me that I don't really know where to start, but I do want to thank Amaranthia and Nabila and Anahita and Serena and Mondo for all of the work that they put into the video, the documentary, because that was incredible. So many great lessons, great messages, and stories that needed to be heard, right? And some reaffirming messages that some of us might not have heard for a little while. Yeah. Um, we're now going to have a bit of a Q&A period for anyone from our lovely audience who has a question for one of our three artists featured in the video. So that's Anahita, Mondo, and Serena. If you have any questions that you want to ask our artists, you can either put them in the chat or raise your hand. I'll watch for your hand and I can enable your mic so that you can share your question. Yeah, I'll just give you a few seconds. Oh, yes. Thank you, Emma. Yeah, if you have any questions for the Art and Mind team or Emma and Claire over at Sista Creatives Rising, the team is also happy to take any questions that you have. While we wait for some questions from the audience, I'm just gonna start us off. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna ask each of the artists. Anahita, are you here?
Yeah, hi.
Ah, there you are. Anahita, thank you so much for sharing your story and your art with us. Um, what was it like to work on the documentary?
So that's a really good question. So I changed my idea a few times for the documentary. am, I have a lot of different mediums that I like to work in, and I wasn't planning on tattooing myself for it because that's my work, and then, more traditional forms of art are my creative work. So, um, but I realized that my idea originally was too ambitious. I was going to make like a whole art book, and one of the pages of the art book was going to be like a tattoo that I had done. And then I ended up having a lot of personal crises this summer, just like everyone else did on the team, which, I'm amazed that the whole thing managed to come together despite all of the struggles that we've all been going through. But I decided to tattoo myself, which I've done a few times. The other tattoos that you saw on my leg in the video were also tattoos that I've done. But yeah, it was honestly like having the support of Amaranthi and Claire and the rest of the team was an incredible part of the experience because I was going through so much this summer, and I've never been in a space that like allowed for, life happening and people being human and crises happening. And it was really reassuring to know that like when I couldn't give 100% to this thing that I'd committed to, this like incredibly important thing that you all just saw, it was
really reassuring to know that I was surrounded by people who understood that and who appreciated what I could do regardless. So it was a really amazing experience.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I don't know how to tattoo, first off. I also do not know how you would tattoo on yourself and like keep a steady hand. So I'm very impressed. And your work is just beautiful and I feel very similarly, even though I wasn't in the documentary, during this project, the team has just been so genuinely supportive and understanding that we are all, at the end of the day, human beings, and life is gonna life, and that's just how it goes. So it's really, really helpful to be surrounded by other people who are just there to lift you up and help you out when you need it. Thank you so much, Anahita. I want to pose the same question. Let's see. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Um, Okay, one question that Nick asked was if there's any chance of releasing physical compilations for sale. And Amma answered in the chat saying we will be selling some art in spring 2026 via our coffee, linked on the Sista Creatives Rising Instagram account. Yeah, we're gonna do it this year, but so many things happening. The timeline is very full. So it's going to be spring 2026 for that. Thank you for your question. Ooh, I have got a question for Serena. Um, Shell, they, she pronouns, is also a frequent crier, and that makes it hard to share their work in a semi-public space. How are you able to honor your emotions and regulate yourself when you share your art?
Hi, thank you for that question, Shell. Before I get into it, I'll do my visual description. So I'm Serena. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a brown-skinned South Asian person with a gold bindi on. I have short black cropped hair, and a pink romper on. And as far as this question goes, I think when I'm making art, I'm trying to focus on the process and about my internal experience. And then fully after I've done creating the work, then I consider if it's something I'd like to share. And when I am sharing it, I'm very deliberate about what spaces I bring it into. Um, and same for vending. I sometimes vend my art, and I've gotten very selective about where I go based on what my body can handle and what the vibes are. Because if it doesn't align, then it doesn't feel like it's the best fit for me, like emotionally or literally. Um, so yeah, I take deep breaths and I think intentionally before I share it where it'll be. Um, and I have a ton of art that I don't share publicly because I'm just not sure. So thinking about where you're sharing it and what feels best intuitively is my way of going about it.
Thank you so much, Serena, for sharing your answer. Yeah, it's super important to think about those things when you're an artist. The spaces that you're entering and sharing art, which is like an extension of yourself, right? And just making sure that you're keeping yourself safe. And sometimes we do need to just make art that's just for us. Like, it doesn't always have to be for public consumption. Sometimes we just need to express ourselves creatively and just keep it for us, right? Thank you so much. We're gonna do one more question, and this one is for Mondo. Do I have Mondo? Read Mondo. There's so many people in here. Oh my gosh.
Yes, I'm in here.
I see Mondo. Hello, Mondo. So the question here is from V Starks. who says, I'm thinking about drag culture as communal and the grief that must exist as a result of widespread COVID denialism and a refusal on the part of organizers and audiences to hold mask-required COVID-safer spaces. If this resonates, could you speak to this, and how you've navigated that grief, and how, if at all, you are rethinking and reimagining what drag can be as a result of the ongoing pandemic?
Whew,
It is also in the
good
chat because
question.
this is kind of long.
So for one visual description, I'm Mondo. I am a light-skinned Black trans mask person. I have a curly fro. I'm wearing green circular dangly earrings, a gold necklace that says resilient, a shirt that is covered in red roses, and a green shirt underneath that. Just trying to make sure I match the theme, floral. And so in terms of the question, whew, there is honestly so much grief. Because I think for many of us, we created these communities prior to the pandemic, and then we're seeing how we have diverged in so many ways in terms of our values and in terms of how how we create, really. Because when the pandemic started formally started in 2020, like everybody was very much like, yes, we are going to buckle down, we are going to take care of our community, we're going to have masks, we're going to have this, we're going to have that, we're going to make sure that we don't have shows until vaccines are available, so on and so forth. And then the government was basically like, oh, like everything's fine, COVID is not a thing, like to where and so on and so forth. And this divide became really apparent because a lot of people in the drag community just decided to move forward and not consider the needs that were ongoing for our communities. They're still not, but I have had people tell me that, well, we don't want to require masks because that would be exclusionary to the deaf community. People are not even trying to give us regular ASL interpreters. There is a plethora of drag performers who know sign language, and I have not been able to connect with these performers because they do not, like, if they sign, it's specifically for work purposes. And this has only been made clear to me more recently, because how am I supposed to create this environment in drag that is supportive to the sheer variety of people in drag when I'm getting so much pushback on something as small as, can we have a mask requirement so that we are able to protect the performers, the drag performers who cannot wear a mask, because the whole point of drag is you're creating this like visual artistic display. And so I'm like, easy meet in the middle would be to have mask required audiences. And that's the thing. It's like, I feel like this is such a small ask, but people consistently do not want to do the labor of asking for that as an accommodation. They don't want to do the labor of being the odd ones out, especially in Sacramento right now. There is no mask required shows that I have not put on myself. And that's deeply frustrating because it's like, I'm just one person. Like right now, in terms of like the ongoing pandemic and in terms of drag performance, I have actually formally stopped performing live shows across the board because I cannot find a mask required show in my city. I would have to drive a minimum of 2 hours in order to find a mask required show. And I've like tried everything I can to sort of make masking and these sort of considerations more of a priority. I've given out free masks, I've given out free tests, I've given out, I was actually able to make Elk Grove Pride, local Pride, I was able to make that mask required, and a lot more people in our more marginalized disabled communities were able to come out and attend and participate and not have to worry about whether this is the Pride Month that's going to take them out. And so now, and I'm seeing that it doesn't matter how much resources I provide, people are not going to take this action unless they are being told to do so by someone who is in power, who is not me. I don't have the power to make people engage in this very small act of community care, and people are very much treated like it's an all or nothing situation, where it's well, if I can't mask at all, if I can't mask, sorry, people will be oh, I'm just going to mask in very specific situations, I'm going to mask at the hospital, and I'm going to mask at the grocery store. But everywhere else, I'm not going to mask. I'm not going to mask outside. I'm not going to mask in large groups. I'm not going to mask when I'm with friends that I don't see for a while. And I just keep getting all this pushback where people being oh, no, I want to, I'm worried about my networking. I'm worried about, my career and how my career will be impacted by this. And it's and I understand wholeheartedly that capitalism is very much a thing. It's something that we can not avoid engaging with. That's actually part of why I appreciate Sister Creators Rising, because they're actively organizing in a way that runs counter to how most of drag functions. And so that's what I was talking about in terms of the background of racial injustices and gender injustices in drag. It all comes back to the concept of drag is, it's not a community space, it's a pageant space. And it's not intended to be a space for community, it's intended to be a space for display. Drag is intended, we are supposed to be the people who are our most visible representatives of the queer community. You see someone in drag and you're that person over there is a homosexual. This is kind of across the board agreed upon. And so trying to get people to understand the sheer volume of power that we have in our role as drag performers, while simultaneously seeing people tell me that they do not, in fact, have power at all to make any changes, even if they are literally producing their own show, even if they are literally funded, they have a venue, they have performers, they have everything. But for whatever reason, they cannot take an extra step and add that mask requirement onto their show. And for myself, I've had to stop, specifically because this is something that I cannot carry on my own. I cannot expect that, I will organize a show, I will organize an event, and expects that everybody who attends this event, even if I make it mask required, and I'm able to enforce that the whole time, it still doesn't change the fact that people are not taking precautions on their day-to-day. Even if they show up masked to the event, it doesn't mean that they're not sick. What if we have drinks out and someone wants to take a little sip of drink, a little sip of something, and it turned out later they have COVID? There's so many ways of risk at this point in time where we really have no choice but to focus on risk mitigation and to focus on limiting our viral load, because we're doing our best. The second time I got COVID, I got it because I was exposed by the medical system. Not because I was going out and not masking. It was because I was at home and I was exposed by the medical system. And so there's no safe enough thing we can do. There's no guarantee, but I think most people, especially the drag community, especially the able-bodied drag community, which is the majority, should make this a significant priority. Like, it's bad enough that the queer community is currently ignoring the parallels between COVID and the AIDS crisis. Like, and just like seeing how those most marginalized in our communities are being left behind. And they don't want to see the parallels in how the government and society left queer people behind because they thought that we were disposable. And so now having that be replicated with COVID and having it be replicated that once again, like, we're not being cared for, but it's worse because we're not being cared for by our own community, who we should know better. So yeah, I could go on about this all day, but I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mondo. I don't know if you're seeing the chat, but everything that you're saying is resonating heavily with our audience who have similar or parallel experiences to speak about. And speaking of masks, though, and encouraging wearing masks to, as an act of community care as well, and to protect ourselves, I'm going to bring on Amaranthia and Claire to talk about you might have seen it on Instagram. We had a little masked fashion competition, got some amazing submissions, and I'm going to hand it off to Amaranthia and Claire to talk a little bit more about that.
Hey everyone, Amaranthia here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we had this mass fashion competition shortly after we launched the announcement for Art in Mind in August. And we are so happy to announce that this whole competition was sponsored by Dancing Queerly Boston, who has been our sponsor since the second show in 2023. So each winner, 3 winners, have been compensated. In this video, we will share more details and read off some image descriptions of the winners. To not go over time, we sped up a little bit of the alt text, and of course, everything is captioned. So you will also see a clip of our 3D gallery on Kunstmatrix. Make sure to look out in the chat for the link from Chi. Chi has been dropping links throughout the event. Chi is one of our team members who also did the poster for the competition. So yeah, check out this video and check out the gallery after, which has all the image descriptions and has all of our honorable mentions and winners. We're Amaranthia and Claire of Sista Creatives Rising, a Black disabled mother-daughter duo helping marginalized women and genders gain accessibility and visibility in the arts.
For Art and Mind, COVID Climate and Our Future virtual art and film event, we held a mass fashion contest for disabled COVID-conscious fashionistas. Being immunocompromised and consistently masking since 2020, we know it makes us stand out. We created this contest because mass fashion has given us confidence while standing out, making it an artistic statement of community care and consideration for others.
Special thanks to graphics assistant Chi, who made our contest poster. Check out the cash prize winners and honorable mentions and view all of them in our Kunstmatrix 3D gallery with all alt text included. $200 first place prize at Rebirth Garments. Sky is a Filipinx and white non-binary xenogender disabled neuroqueer who is modeling on top of a hot pink rollator with their right leg in a squat and left leg held in front of them with a bent knee and pointed toe. They are holding onto the rollator with their right hand and have their left hand held in front of them in a dramatic pose. They have spiky triangle makeup under one eye and lots of tattoos. On Sky's head is a turquoise, purple, fuchsia, and pink scale mail headpiece. On their right hand is a matching scale mail handpiece, and on their left hand is a pink scale
scale mail with a black chainmail handpiece and a holographic turquoise silicone engagement ring that matches their painted nails. On their chest is a hot pink chainmail harness with a neon watermelon holster holding a far UVC device. On Sky's body is a disco jumpsuit featuring custom print fabric of Arturo Kubicub's Octave 7 and Nagin Trophy paintings, along with checkerboard and neon pink athletic mesh. The bodysuit has black and white checkerboard 3/4 sleeves with 2 purple holographic circular muscle poofs. There are large purple holographic lapels that create a plunging neckline. On the lapels of the jumpsuit are enamel pins of the Queer Crip symbol in pink glitter on a black background in the rainbow tesseracted Rebirth Garments logo. On their feet are fully handmade teal wrestling boots with silver leather featuring hand-cut triangles.
$100 second place winner at Basic Mom Dad. A photo of Roy, a black person wearing a vinyl red gown with red gloves. They're also wearing a light purple floating collar with a textured green strip of fabric falling from it like a tie. Connecting these items is a yellow smiley face button with a brown baby doll and hoop hole hanging from it. Roy is holding their white flow mask on their face with one hand and a floating yellow balloon in the other hand.
$75 third place winner at Nanners_art. They say Maskical Girl is a being from another planet who was sent to Earth to fight for love, justice, and accessibility for all. This is a poster featuring myself as Maskical Girl, a character I created based on popular magical girl anime protagonists. The last 2 images are the front and back of a postcard I made that includes QR codes that link to information on COVID-19 and airborne virus safety. My outfit is made entirely from used KF94, KN95, and N95 masks collected from myself and my household. The mask I'm wearing on my face is a 3M half-face respirator. My household and I have been masking since 2020 and continue to this day.
Honorable mentions: Nickel Pin, King Lotus Boy, McMama 91, Poetic All Soul, Corny Cat, Morbid _, Nerd _gathering, Synthetic Chrome, Basic Mom Dad, Emerald Bagel Head, Honeycomb _jewelry, Breathing _paradox, Derek QVDO, Annalisa's Library, Shell Wick, MMM Random.
Thank you. Let me just see. Is anyone in the audience? Frankie, do you see anyone? I'll pass it to you. Like the winners. Please send a react.
Oh,
if
do
you're
we
here.
have any of our mask fashion competition winners in the audience? This is harder than I thought it would be, Emma. There's 85 there's 85 people in the Zoom room.
Oh my gosh. Well, if
Finding one person out of 85.
if you're here, just raise your hand. If not, I
Oh
will
no,
message the
there's
winners.
more people. There's 86 now.
This is very overwhelming, but in a good way. Very good way, but wow.
Anyways, we loved all of your masked fashion. That was bananas. Congrats to all the winners. Yes, Chi. Congrats to all the winners and all the honorable mentions. You were mentioned with honor. Everyone really turned out. Thank you so much for participating. It was so fun to see all of those. Holy moly. With that, I think we're gonna take a 5-minute break here. Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. We will take a 5-minute break here and okay, time zone math. 7:57, so let's come back in 5 minutes.
Yes.
Does that work? Okay, 5 minutes or 2 minutes after the hour. Yes, thank you, Chi. 2 minutes after the hour, we will be back. Please take care however you need. I'm gonna refill my water, probably go pee. You do what you need to do, and we'll see you 2 minutes after the hour. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So just like a shout out to our audience blowing up the chat. I asked and you over delivered, so thank you so much. It's just great to get that feedback from all of you. So thank you so much for helping us celebrate our artists and engage with them. And yeah, let's keep that up. So welcome back from the break. I hope everyone had a break. I did go pee and I did fill up my water, even though my ADHD meds have worn off by now. So that is a miracle. But so we've come back from break, and do we have a fundraiser update, or are we doing that later? Doing it later?
I see it increased a bit. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's hear a fundraiser update on where we're at from Emma and Claire.
Okay. Oh, I'm unmuted now. Okay. So we are now at 2,649. We just want to quickly thank everyone for getting us here. Because we're now almost about to hit 9 micro grants, and those will be distributed next year. So we're almost at double our original goal of 5. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
This is amazing. I hope we can reach 9 by the end of tonight, and we will stay open until November 1st. So yeah.
Yay! Thank you! And thank you to the community for giving us the dollars. And okay. It's like a weird way to word that. But thank you so much for all the support. The money that we've raised, like Emma was saying, it's going towards the Sistas Uprising Fund, which we use to distribute to BIPOC artists to help subsidize different kinds of costs that they're struggling with. And thanks to your generosity, we can already give out 8 microgrants of $300 USD. I'm in Canada, and that's a lot of money. So thank you so much. I'm going to kind of help us segue into the next little bit of our event here. So in this next part, you're going to hear from some of our COVID conscious speakers. The first of which is Black social worker Brittany Shropshire. So we're going to play, oh, and then we're going to play a video from a Black full-time caregiver, Jennifer McZear. And then after that, we're going to hear from climate activist Veronica Lee. So it's going to be a lot of really strongly resonating words, and we hope that you enjoy. So here we go with Brittany. So Brittany Shropshire is a licensed clinical social worker with a passion for healing trauma and supporting people with tools to reconnect their bodies through somatic practices. She has a background working with children and families who have experienced trauma, and currently she works with individuals in the performing arts industry and specializes in helping artists process the impact of the ongoing pandemic while navigating their careers. So I'm going to welcome Brittany. She's going to provide a self ID, and then we're going to hear what words of wisdom she has to share with us. Go ahead, Brittany.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction. And hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Shropshire. My pronouns are she, her. and I'm a medium brown-skinned Black woman with purple curly hair. I'm wearing a yellow dress with pink flowers and glasses, and purple lipstick, and my background is an image of orchids. And I am calling in from the Munsee Lenape, the land of the Munsee Lenape people, which is now known as New York. So thank you to Sister Creatives Rising for inviting me to speak about the connections between COVID and climate change and how it impacts our mental health. So a little about me. My professional career has pretty much only existed in this period of overlapping global and national disasters. I graduated in 2019 with my graduate degree in social work and started my career at a child advocacy center working as a first responder for child abuse. When the pandemic began, my office was declared essential, and I was required to come into work in the midst of a New York City completely overwhelmed by COVID cases. So as I speak to you today, I speak from both my professional and personal experience as someone who has been navigating these past 5 years while trying to stay safe and protect others. We've actually been hearing in very powerful ways so far the connections between climate change and COVID, so I won't dwell on that part too much. I briefly want to highlight the intersecting strands between white supremacy, capitalism, and ableism that magnify the harm that we experience from these disasters. COVID and climate change impact every single person on the planet. According to Forbes, 1 in 5 adults with COVID develop long COVID, and according to the University of Nebraska Medical Center, each subsequent COVID infection will increase your risk of developing chronic health issues like diabetes, kidney disease, organ failure, and even additional mental health disorders. Unfortunately, those that are marginalized and especially disabled individuals are left to carry the greatest burdens. You can see it in the rhetoric that was used when the pandemic first started, like, oh, this only impacts elderly people, and then continues today. We see it in 2020. I remember that the hospital systems were rationalizing ventilators based on whose lives they thought worthy of surviving. And also those that were declared essential employees, from people working in the hospitals to those working at the grocery stores, were all treated as disposable and not given adequate support or protective equipment to protect themselves. There's also research that shows that white people took less precautions after research was released demonstrating COVID impacts Black people at higher rates. We see many of the same issues when it comes to climate change. Katrina has been on my mind lately because of the documentary that was recently released called Katrina, Come Hell and High Water. And that talks about the lack of government support and response during Hurricane Katrina, and specifically how Black residents were essentially left for dead during the disaster and how rebuilding efforts have taken advantage of residents. That was 20 years ago, and yet the climate change disasters that we experience today have a repeated pattern. We're also seeing climate change disasters be accelerated by genocides, exploitation, and the extraction of resources like in Palestine, Sudan, Congo. We have AI data centers built in different neighborhoods, polluting Black neighborhoods. So it's just a variety of ways that we're seeing these things play out. If you've made it this far, I'm just going to pause and encourage everyone to take a breath, check in with your body, notice if you can feel your feet on the floor or your back in the chair. If your arms are resting on a surface, maybe see how that feels to be supported by the surface. Even take a sip of water. I'm going to take a sip of tea myself. And it's understandable if you notice you feel more activated while listening to what's being shared today, because everything we're discussing comes down to trauma. Not only are we carrying the trauma from the initial onset of the pandemic, but we're having to navigate protecting ourselves and our loved ones as both COVID and climate change are deliberately downplayed and ignored by our governments. It's hard and maybe nearly impossible to heal from trauma that is pervasive and ongoing, and that's what we're dealing with. Although these are large-scale issues, the responsibility is being put on us, the individuals, while the people in power are focused on exacerbating these crises. Constantly having to make the right choice and adapt to reality while there is so much denial and avoidance around us is isolating. And even managing this current time is more complicated since the ways that we might typically seek to regulate our nervous system are harder to access. That deep disregard for disabled lives increases the sense of loneliness, grief, and rejection that many are experiencing. And there's a specific kind of betrayal that comes from seeing how governments, organizations, and even possible previous support systems constantly reiterate the message that our lives are expendable. However, we know another way is possible, and we know another world is possible. That's another reason I'm grateful for this event, because it lets us tap into our imagination to envision what that world can look like and how things can be different. Earlier, I referenced kind of the burden that we're left to hold as people who continue to remember the initial trauma of 2020 and everything that's happened since in the ongoing pandemic. Memory is powerful, and while we have that collective traumatic memory to hold, we can also remember the ways that people looked after one another. Sewing masks, like I remember my grandma, she had a sewing machine she always sewed. She was sewing masks left and right for people, delivering groceries. We were shifting events, organizing things online. We were caring for one another in so many different ways. And in the absence of support from our governments, we were the ones who took care of each other, and we are the ones who continue to take care of each other in the midst of the ongoing pandemic, in the midst of climate change disasters, in every which way. We are those people taking care of ourselves. So, what does coping and self-advocacy look like in the midst of such large-scale disasters? My work as a therapist is centered on somatics, so admittedly, I'm a little biased, but my suggestion is always to start with the body. And first, I want to state before I get into that is, we're experiencing multiple local, national, and global crises while genocides are being live streamed on our devices that are made by exploiting children in Congo, and the list goes on. So the goal for anything I share is not for anyone to be permanently in a state of calm or a state of happiness. This is not only impossible and unrealistic, but it doesn't allow your nervous system to do its job. Regulation isn't about making yourself calm, but it's about expanding your nervous system's capacity to process emotions, release excess energy, and shift out of fight, flight, or freeze for even a moment. Having a general understanding of your nervous system can also be helpful in moments, for example, I think of like you having to advocate for yourself at the doctor's office, or if someone criticizes you for the precautions you're taking, or being able to hold firm in your boundaries if they're being tested by other people, or when you're having to kind of plan in advance in case of a climate disaster. It doesn't necessarily make those moments easier, but it can help you figure out what resources you can access if those moments happen. So this can look a number of different ways, but I would say start with gently giving yourself space to experience what's happening in your body. For example, what happens in your body when you honor any grief or rage that you're feeling? What is your body telling you that you need? If that question is too overwhelming, is it possible to allow yourself to feel just like a tablespoon of that emotion? This can be as simple as noticing sensations like warmth or coldness or prickling, or where do you feel ease in your body? Where do you feel sensations that are pleasurable in your body, right? It can go both ways. The humming we did earlier was also an example of this. You might be able to recall like how you felt internally just hearing the song being shared and then humming along. That is tuning into your body. Regulation also happens in relationship with others, which can be extremely complicated given, everything that is happening around us. However, you can also co-regulate with nature. So, like if you happen to hear the birds, you're in a place where you hear a lot of birds in the morning, you can listen to the sound of those birds. You can watch the clouds go by in the sky. You can immerse yourself in the feeling of like grass or dirt, or if any plants are around you. Those are all part of the world that we live in, and you can co-regulate with those as well. Another option is to like incorporate support from your ancestors if that feels safe to you. Noticing what happens in your body when you do so, imagining perhaps your ancestors surrounding you, or maybe even standing at your side, just supporting you. Notice how that feels to do so. Or you can even write a letter to those ancestors, or imagine yourself as your elder self writing a letter to your current self right now. We do hard things every day existing in this timeline, and in the absence of in-person support, we can be even more creative in finding resources. What else can you imagine as like a ring of support around you? Connecting with our nervous system's intuition and values is even more important when we're surrounded by so much COVID and climate change denial. When we connect with the felt sense of why we are taking those COVID and climate change precautions, it can be validating and deepen our resolve and commitment to keeping ourselves and others safe. I also encourage you to share your experience and your story. Every time we do that, we disrupt the "this is normal" brainwashing and also give ourselves the possibility to connect with others, which can be very healing. Sharing your story can take many forms, from advocating for yourself in hospital settings, through patient advocates, writing down your experience of the past couple years as a record, or drawing, painting, poetry, anything that we've seen today in this past hour and a half. Many of us also on this Zoom come from lineages where oral storytelling was a way of truth telling and of passing down history, and we can also engage in that as a form of support. In closing, I want to read a quote. Feel free to notice what you feel internally as you hear them, but I have a group of friends who've been reading a lot of James Baldwin, so when I came across this, I want to share. You read something which you thought only happened to you, and you discovered it happened 100 years ago to Dostoevsky. This is a great liberation for the suffering, the struggling person who always thinks that they're alone. This is why art is important. Art would not be important if life were not important, and life is important. Most of us, no matter what we say, are walking in the dark, whistling in the dark. Nobody knows what's going to happen to them from one moment to the next or how one will bear it. This is irreducible, and it's true for everybody. Now, it's true that the nature of society is to create among its citizens an illusion of safety, but also absolutely true that the safety is always necessarily an illusion. Artists are here to disturb the peace. They have to disturb the peace, otherwise chaos. And I'm very glad to be disturbing the peace with all of you all. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Thank you so much, Brittany. Again, a lot of words resonating with our audience here. As you can see, the chat is still going, and look at all these emojis flying everywhere. I like how they now have like little labels. So you're like, oh look, it's Elena C. Like, that's fun. Thank you so much for those kind words. We do have some time to take a couple questions. If anyone in the audience wants to put their questions in the chat, I'd be happy to read them out and ask Brittany to answer them for you. And in the meantime, I'll say that I love that it's a Disturbing the Peace club. I feel like my piece has been disturbed many a time, so I feel like that gives me like a few punches in a card to be able to disturb someone else's piece. But I don't know if it works that way. Let's see. No, just like a lot of just reassurances, yeah, beautiful reminders, reassurances, and readings. Thank you. A lot of gratitude here, Brittany, for you and your words. Oh, thank you, Nickel Pin. So we will have those punch cards. Um, a lot of resonation. That's good. Good stuff. Okay. Oh, I see that Veronica has raised her hand. Do you have a question, Veronica? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. Thank you for your speech, Brittany. One thing that I struggle with is being a mama and trying to help my child regulate during climate change, severe weather stuff. So I was wondering, like, do you have any advice for parents who might be trying to help our children regulate while like severe weather is going on?
Thank you, Veronica. That's a good question, because I often find that a lot of parents also tend to be very hard on themselves and are already like trying to take steps to support their kids. I think when it comes to children, and this might be something you're already doing, depending on the age, there are also ways to, talk to kids about what's happening, like letting them know, okay, this is the situation, this is what we're going to do to make sure that we can be safe. These are the steps we're going to take, and like whatever is the most kid appropriate way to do that, depending on how old they are. Because a lot of times I mean, kids, they know something's happening if even if they don't have the words to quite figure it out. And also our nervous systems kind of feed off of each other, so they can sense, okay, mom is really scared. I too should be scared, and now I will be even more scared about what's going on. So I think sometimes just being able to give them a bit of predictability, which is really hard because literally day to day, we don't know what's going to happen. But talking through like, oh, I have a plan if something happens, or I'm here to make sure that you're okay. Like those things that can be reassuring. And then if you're able to be really resourced yourself, it will kind of naturally also help them because they'll be able to connect to you being able to find kind of something grounding or whatever kind of helps you to get through those moments. That will also resonate within their own nervous system, and it will just bring some regulation that way.
Thank you so much to Veronica for that question, and thank you, Brittany, for that answer. There's one more question here. I think it's just kind of tagging on to the last. Can this also apply to pets, Brittany?
Actually, yeah, it does, and I've actually seen that myself. Because what is funny is, so I'm in it's a training program called Somatic Experiencing. It's expensive, but whatever. Not an ad for that, I promise you, not an ad at all. But we do it virtually, and it's really fascinating how people in the training can be really maybe agitated or maybe activated or anxious, and like they have their cat in the room or their dog in the room, and then as they kind of settle and try to tune into some resources, like the dog will fall asleep in the session or the cat will like fall asleep. And I've actually seen that with my own cat. I have a cat. And so it's really fascinating because animals also have nervous systems, right? So those are also things you can co-regulate with animals as well. And like our bodies are connected in so many ways. Even over the Zoom, which is something that's really fascinating, right? Our nervous systems are like attuning to one another, even if we're not physically in the same room together. So absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Elena, for that question, and thank you again to Brittany for answering. That was great. I think we're going to move on with the program a bit. We've got some um, okay, but I have to say, yeah, so Brittany Nicole says, okay, this is so weird. I was just about to post my dog who has fallen asleep near me while you were chatting. So, there you go. Evidence of the somatic experience doing its work. All right. So before we move on to Jennifer McZear's video, I just want to mention or remind the audience that we actually have a mental health resource document compiled by different activists, therapists, community members, leaders, facilitators, who have compiled a lot of these resources that are free and accessible for the most part, to kind of support you through this weird timeline we're living in, and kind of uplift your mental well-being. So yeah, Chi has just posted the link in the chat there, along with our event survey. Just let us know what you thought. We'll post it a little bit later too, so that'll be made available to you. The document was made by our team and also includes advice articles by our event speakers. So definitely check that out. The document's also going to be sent out by email after the event. Okay. Are we ready for Jennifer McZear's video, Emma? Good. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna read Jennifer's bio. Yes. So Jennifer, aka the To Care to Heal Online, is a 51-year-old airborne virus-aware caregiver to her 84-year-old mother. Since 2020, Jennifer has been caring for her mother 24/7 without any help because of the fear of not having someone in their home that takes these airborne viruses seriously. As of July 2025, Jennifer and her mother have not tested positive for an airborne virus, but they know that they could have or may be asymptomatic with one. Jennifer and her mother were small business owners before 2020. However, they closed down their business before the pandemic, which was a blessing in disguise. Jennifer's mother has a BA from Talladega College, class of 1960, and a JD from Howard Law School, class of 1965, where she was the only woman in her class and one of the first 3 Black American women to be admitted to practice law in the state of Florida in 1965. Jennifer has a BA from Spelman College, class of 1996, and a JD from the University of Iowa College of Law, class of 2000. Jennifer resides in Washington, D.C. on Anacostan and Piscataway lands. So we're going to share a video from Jennifer McZear about some grief guidance.
My name is Jennifer. I'm a COVID-safe, COVID-cautious caregiver to my mother who's 84. We're both Black American women. We're based in Washington, D.C. And I am wearing a t-shirt that says Black is Beautiful. I'm wearing a long pink t-shirt under it. I'm wearing a pink fleece. I'm wearing it in 95. I have on gold dingling earrings, and I'm wearing two gold-plated necklaces. So I give this detail. My earrings they are gold-plated. I'm giving you this detail to let you know that in grief, we have to make ourselves feel good about ourselves, meaning we get up, wash our face, we get up and try to be a part of society in such a way where if we walk out the door, we feel happy inside. When you're grieving, you're just feeling every emotion possible. But if you can at least have your outside appearance covering up some of that pain, that helps. So I think wearing bright colors are helpful. If you're someone who has low vision, wearing things that have textures, you can feel textures that make you feel good. With jewelry, if you wear jewelry, different textures, different styles, different necklaces. Because I'm assuming most of you are COVID safe, COVID aware, learn how to actually even give yourself a manicure, pedicure, do all that. So this is the first layer of handling and working with your grief. Now, what's the second thing? Because we've just talked about the outside, because now we're going to get to the mental. You need to limit your screen time. You need to limit your screen time. Your phone, computer, laptop, tablet, smartphone, can't think of any electronics, anything that you could plug in and it has a battery. You need to limit that. And the reason why is that it's always such a distraction. And I think the best thing to do is to do 2 things that are old school. Get a book that is printed, not a Kindle, nothing. I want you to have a paper book. If you are someone who, if you have low vision and you have to use a Kindle or something like that, fine. For those of you who have vision, get a paper book. Further, if not even a paper book, listen to music, but don't listen to it on a device like this. If you actually have a CD player, use it. If you have a DVD player, you need to separate being on the internet. The internet is such a distraction, and I believe that if you can at least go back to the basics, have a CD player, have a radio, have a TV. Everything doesn't have to be combined. That's been the biggest problem of the 21st century, is that we have too much access and it's too fast. So I hope this helps in letting you know, if we could just separate all these distractions and just focus in on having not everything on one device. Have a book or have a Kindle. Have a radio, have a CD player. But two, another thing that I really want to stress through all of this, of course, of the technology and going back to basics, why don't you start writing? If you don't know how, I've heard people don't know how to do cursive. Also, the other main thing is actually skill set. Learn a new skill. Learn how to cook, write. And when I say write, learn how to write a poem. Write a short story. Shoot, write a book. And all this in creating this art or things, that's an expression of working through your grief. I hope this helps. And this is all can be done at home, because what are we doing? We are being COVID safe, COVID cautious. So again, my name is Jennifer. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm a caregiver to my mother, who's 84. We're in Washington, D.C., and we continuously have been living in this ongoing pandemic for now 6 years. If we can do it, you can do it. And I'm always wearing an N95 mask. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm not sure if you're in the room, but a lot of the words that you shared as well really resonated with folks, especially the limiting screen time thing. A lot of us are subjected to screens, like right now. This is how we're connecting with one another. So definitely make sure that you take breaks here and there. You might have noticed that I turn off my video sometimes, and it's so that I can close my eyes or stretch or something and step away from the screen, and then come back so that I can be more present when I'm trying to connect with people. So thank you so much for that. We're going to move on to our next speaker, Veronica Lee. Sorry, here we go. So Veronica Lee, there's also going to be a Q&A with Veronica after. So make sure you hold on to your questions and post them in the chat so that we can address them afterwards. So Veronica Hanway Lee, MA, is a mama, scholar, activist, artist, musician, poet, and geography PhD student. Oh my gosh. Her current activism, art, poetry, and research are informed by her parenting experience, being chronically ill during the ongoing SARS-CoV pandemic, where she works with clean air communities and teaches both young and adult learners. Her work is centered on disability and environmental justice, as everyone deserves access to clean air, clean water, and a healthy environment. So I'm going to welcome Veronica Lee to speak and provide a self-ID, and take it away, Veronica.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Veronica. My pronouns are she, her. I'm on the lands of the Miami, Delaware, Potawatomi, and Shawnee peoples. I'm an olive-skinned woman with half brown, half silver, and half purple hair, wearing glasses, green and blue plugs, a blue shirt, and white headphones with a Zoom background of a yellow wildflower behind me. As Frankie mentioned, I'm a mother, wife, and geography PhD student at Indiana University. As a geographer, I get a lot of questions about how people can adapt to climate change and our planet that is just on fire. Whether it's wildfires, floods, droughts, or other climate change impacts, adaptation is a familiar theme. Scientists have known since the mid-1800s that burning fossil fuels leads to global warming, so it's not a new concept. Now, with the increase in AI use via things like ChatGPT, Gemini, art and music generators, the electricity and water demand to run these data centers are contributing to increased greenhouse gas emissions and pollutions of our lands and waters, and also leads to more mineral mining and displacement of entire communities. We are currently dealing with the effects of our actions and have to adapt to warmer temperatures, less snow, long heat waves, more severe weather, and like others have discussed, the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, otherwise known as COVID-19. Thinking back to 2020, I was a new mom trying to wrap up my master's when the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic and said that we needed to work together to protect the vulnerable. And for the most part, many countries took different approaches to stop the spread, from quarantine, masking, social distancing, curfews, and some others even used force through their military. We saw mask wearing and global action become the norm. No one wanted to get sick or get anyone else sick, much less lose any of their loved ones to disease. And then slowly, more and more people got infected due to the lack of clean air infrastructure. Yet, as vaccines rolled out and those in financial power pushed the need to get back to normal, many people who didn't want to get infected or simply couldn't get infected because of health conditions were abandoned by their families, their friends, coworkers, and schools. My research is informed by my experience as a mother of color. I've been working with others in clean air communities that have adapted to breathing clean air, not perpetuating the colonialist practice of spreading diseases, practicing community care, while also being committed to disability and racial justice and the do no harm praxis. As a COVID-safe educator and researcher, I'm seeking to understand how clean air communities are using tools like respirator masks, CO2 monitors, air purifiers, tests, social media, and virtual platforms like Zoom to create COVID-safer spaces to avoid infections, reinfections, and long COVID. As we've heard so far, climate change is a global and local issue. Climate change leads to more infectious diseases and more conflict, like we're seeing in Sudan, Palestine, Congo, Haiti, and Yemen. The recent report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change shows that climate-sensitive infectious diseases like West Nile, dengue, Zika, and malaria will likely increase in spread as our planet gets warmer. We've heard that COVID-19 and long COVID is still a problem as it continues to spread wildly. Dr. Herger has been looking at trends at how much COVID-19 is being shed in poo from wastewater surveillance. His work shows that currently in the US, we are seeing 1.3 million new daily infections, which results in 65,000 to 260,000 new cases of long COVID. And it's rapidly spreading all over the world. Amaranthia had shared this news with me earlier from Eyes on Palestine on X, which stated 5 cases of COVID-19 have been identified and isolated at the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital. Medical professionals have raised concerns that these infections could indicate the presence of a new variant in the Gaza Strip. This development poses an extreme threat due to the complete breakdown of healthcare infrastructure, a result of the ongoing Israeli bombardment and siege. And it's not just the death and resulting disability from COVID, but the decrease in community care as well. With millions infected and the unmitigated spread of COVID, so many of us still taking precautions have been abandoned and unable to access public spaces. Some of us can simply not see our friends and our family because they're not willing to take precautions, even though they did in 2020. In talking with people in clean air communities, I've heard so many of us have been vilified or yelled at by healthcare workers, our families, our friends, or people that we just don't know because we've asked them to wear a mask or take a COVID test or use air purifiers or simply open a window. Whether we identify as anti-COVID, COVID conscious, airborne aware, or part of the still COVIDing community, many of us, because of our health or our knowledge on the dangers of COVID infections or reinfections, simply cannot get infected, and we don't consent to infection. We don't want to get infected, nor do we want our children to get infected, because the list of health conditions is long, like diabetes, cancer, POTS, MCAS, depression, fertility issues, erectile dysfunction, and over 200 plus symptoms that millions of people experience after their COVID infections. We don't want to perpetuate the colonial practices of spreading disease, nor do we want to contribute to the ongoing holocausts and genocides happening on multiple continents. We don't want to see our loved ones and their kids getting sick almost every other month out of the year. It's heartbreaking to lose our loved ones to their infections. That grief is something that I don't think I will ever get used to, especially after losing about a dozen of my loved ones to COVID and long COVID. I don't know if I'll ever get used to hearing about so many people getting sick or getting new diagnoses linked to long COVID, nor will I ever get used to being harassed for simply wearing something to protect myself. It's devastating to experience or witness so much death stemming from climate change and COVID. But through the devastation and heartbreak, there is still hope. There are thousands of communities who are working together to adapt to climate change and avoid COVID infections and reinfections. There are millions of people who still care enough to wear masks, use air purifiers, CO2 monitors, and open windows if they're able to. There are virtual and in-person communities where safer shared air is a priority, like mask blocks, educational co-ops, support groups, and book clubs and others like Masked NH. And importantly, there's Amaranthia and Claire, who through their hard work with Sister Creatives Rising and their team have created such a beautiful virtual space for joy like this one. So thank you. Thank you so much for creating it. And thank you all for all the hard work that you do. And thank you to everyone else in this show.
Thank you, Veronica, for sharing your powerful words. I'm gonna ask if anyone else wants to join me in just taking another collective breath together, because there's so much that resonates there, obviously, but big feelings. Um, so I'm gonna invite you all to inhale with me. Let it out. Maybe one more. Inhale. And let it out. And squeeze something if you need to. My squishy T-Rex silicone bubble wrap buddy. I'm wondering if anyone in the audience has questions for Veronica. I think we can take a couple. I know that I've seen a lot of comments about just like how like the resonance of everything that you're sharing and saying, and just the parallel experiences and the scrolling. Yeah. Y'all are talking at the same time, but it's fine. We love to see it, and we love to see this happening, because despite all of the grief that all of us were sharing and hearing about, you know, there's community, just like what Claire was saying in the documentary video, right? Where there's pain and suffering, there's also community. Sista Creatives Rising and this event and everything to do with it has connected all of us somehow, and it's also connected us to so many different resources and things that can support us and get through some of the struggles that we're facing. Just scrolling for questions. Lots of thank yous, Veronica.
I saw DJ ask, anyone not crying?
Yeah. Well, oops, I think I scrolled too hard. Hi. I'm back. Yeah, everyone's busy crying, and then, yeah, it's okay. Nothing like technology to humble us. Um, yeah, I think we are all tearing up. I'm not tearing up as much right now because I have kind of delayed processing, so I probably will be crying in about half an hour to an hour after. So yeah. And yeah, thank you so much for all of this engagement. This has been wonderful. Um, oh, we've got a question. Bella, I'm so glad that my energy is helping you so much. Thank you, mental health stuff. So Chris has a question for Veronica. How do you talk to those loved ones who kind of get the fact the pandemic is going on, but still don't take precautions?
That's a great question. I try to remember that not everyone has access to the information that a lot of people who are taking precautions do. And when talking to loved ones, I definitely practice mindfulness and gratitude, that they're willing to even just talk about the pandemic with me. And then also just a lot of patience. And now, because I'm a scientist, I try to share scientific facts. That's not always greeted with great, I don't know what the word is. It's not always greeted with welcome arms of like, oh, thank you for sharing statistics on long COVID. Like that's not really how people respond. But I also try to come from a place of personal experience. Are they experiencing, have they noticed that more people are ill than they ever have been? Are they noticing that, oh, I've had, for example, one of my loved ones has had at least 8 COVID infections. So every time that I hear about new diagnoses, I just ask, well, did you have all of that before? And coming from a place of curiosity rather than just like anger or grumpiness, because I know a lot of people who are just taking COVID precautions, we're burnt out. We are burnt out of sharing information. We are burnt out of seeing people not take precautions, not take our lives into account in terms of making spaces safer for us. So also trying to remember to give them grace and also give ourselves grace in terms of feeling burnt out is really helpful. Oh, and I see another question from Erica. Veronica, as an academic, how do you navigate the ableist system of academia without nuking your career, but while protecting your safety and your peace? I'm a sociology PhD student, and I am so alienated from my department because I am disabled and fully remote. I often fear that my career is over before it has even begun, because academia is so inaccessible to me and academics are so ableist, even the ones who make careers out of justice. Wow, that is something that I am still learning how to navigate. That's an excellent question. So I hold my health boundaries very firmly as a PhD student. I'm also working remote, and I'm not entirely sure what that will look like when I am done with my PhD, but also trying to connect with other academics who are still COVIDing. There's a couple of still COVIDing academic groups on Facebook and on Discord. And I'm happy to connect you, Erica. And also trying to remember that getting a degree in grad school is hard enough as it is, much less being so isolated. So also please feel free to contact me if you feel comfortable to, because my experience is very similar.
Thank you so much. I know some more questions are coming in, but we do have more of the program to move along with. As Veronica said, you can feel free to reach out to her. You can direct message her in Zoom or however else Veronica wishes to be contacted, and definitely connect that way. So thank you so much, Veronica, and thank you so much to our audience members for those really good questions. Okay. So next, I'm going to introduce Han Hamill from Masked NH. So Han Hamill of Masked NH is a proud non-binary lesbian, is immunocompromised, and a graphic designer who devotes their time and talents to advocacy and education around disability justice and inclusion. In March of 2024, Han started Masked NH with their best friend Katie. In their first year of operation, they hosted 39 events. Along with hosting events, Han and Katie create educational posts for the public and have reached over 600,000 people on Instagram. Han resides on unceded Abenaki, Wabanaki, and Pennacook lands, or so-called Troy, New Hampshire. So I'm going to bring Han to the spotlight, and they're going to do a self-ID and then share about Masked NH.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Frankie, for that introduction. My name is Han Hamill. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a white, feminine, non-binary person. I have short brown hair that's up, but I have straight across bangs and face framing pieces. I have winged eyeliner on. I have a little bolo tie with a little horse on it. I'm wearing a brown vest, and you can see I have various grayscale tattoos on my arms, and my background is blurred. I just want to echo Veronica's sentiments of thanking Amaranthia and Claire for all of the hard work they do and like putting this amazing event together. It really means a lot to me, and I'm really happy to be a part of it. So thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who came today. So let me set the scene for you. In April of 2024, the snow is beginning to melt and COVID is still ripping through the world with what seems no end in sight. It's a lonely time because to acknowledge the pandemic is to be on the fringe of society. Most everyone has returned back to normal. For those few of us who are living on the periphery, in reality, there's no returning. This may seem bleak, but I truly believe that there's always a silver lining, this event being one of them. In particular, my silver lining appeared when I met my best friend, Katie, at a very rare masked queer Halloween party in our area. And as we began to learn more about each other and become closer friends, we realized that we were both still taking COVID precautions when a lot of people around us weren't anymore. And so we would talk to each other about how we really felt left out, particularly, and I know a lot of you can connect and relate to this. We particularly felt left out by our LGBTQ plus community. We thought, surely if any community could know what it's like to feel left out and to understand the importance around, taking viruses seriously, we thought surely our community would understand. But unfortunately, at least here in New Hampshire, that really wasn't the case. And I was feeling so sad and left out. And one day I was like, we can't be the only ones. Like, we cannot be the only people who feel left out. So I texted Katie and I was like, you know what, Katie, we should just do our own thing. We should do events, even if it's just a little bit at the beginning, because we can't be the only people who are feeling left out. And if we're feeling this way, maybe we can connect with other people. And that's how Masked New Hampshire was born. So my best friend Katie, she is a registered nurse and she specializes in hospice care. Her medical and scientific background gives her the tools to understand COVID better than the general public. And I have my BFA and I've spent almost 10 years in the field of graphic design. I do all the graphic design for Masked New Hampshire. And we use our skill sets in tandem to create educational posts for Masked New Hampshire, because along with events, accessible events for folks, we really felt like there was a vacuum of easily accessible information around COVID for the public. And I always say good design is good communication. So I wanted to use my talents to help educate folks. I think that's really half the battle. So we began to build a following on Instagram, and like Frankie said, we reached over 600,000 people, which feels really good to know that we've been able to empower other folks with information around COVID. We covered issues like COVID as a reproductive right issue, Palestine and COVID-19, COVID and Pride, Disability Pride Month, COVID still spreading outdoors, COVID and cardiac health, why you shouldn't eat indoors, healthcare workers who don't mask, and it really goes on and on. And so in our first year, also like Frankie said, we hosted 39 events, and we aim to do 4 events each month in person, and then one virtual event to make things accessible for folks. And we have also partnered with our close friends at Breathe Free or Die, who help provide cleaner air systems for our events, which Katie and I didn't have the capability or capacity to do that with everything else that we were organizing. So it really was like such a blessing to meet our friends at Breathe Free or Die and have them partner with us in this way and show up in community. They're on Instagram if you want to check them out. So it was really important for us to make these connections, lead with disability justice, and be that being the center of our work was really important. And that's actually how we met Amaranthia and Claire and made this connection, which we're very grateful for. And so we have a guide on a guide to masking again. Ooh, sorry, that's my timer. So like someone had asked previously, Veronica, like how do you talk to folks about maybe taking precautions again? You can go look on Masks New Hampshire. We have a guide for that. And speaking, oh, before I move on, I want to say like I have been reading a little bit from my article, and the last thing that I kind of leave off with on my article is that like I want to thank all of the COVID cautious people for what you're doing, because I really believe that um it is the most admirable to do the right thing when it's hard. When you're being left out, when you're being pushed onto the periphery of society, when you're being bullied, if you're being coughed at in public, and you're doing the right thing, you're saving people's lives, and your sacrifices have not been in vain. And I know that we don't get thanks enough, so I want to thank everyone who's here and doing their part. I am really grateful for people like you. It makes it all worth it. Sorry. I'm getting teary, but it makes it all worth it. And then I just want to go on to mention, let's see, sorry, the resource guide that we have. So it's a 45-page official 25 resource document for Art and Mind by Sister Creatives Rising, and it has a lot of really important, useful resources in it. Art and music, COVID and masking resources, Palestine educational resources, educational pieces on Congo, Sudan, Yemen, disability justice resource, Black mental health resources. It goes on, like, I mean, the list, I'm looking at it right now, and it's a very comprehensive, inclusive list. So I recommend that you take a look at it and, check us out on Mass New Hampshire. And maybe you're looking to start something like that in your community. Me and Katie would be happy to have a Zoom call with you. You can email us. And the last thing I want to leave off with is that we are having our virtual event tomorrow night. We're having a virtual event session around grief in the pandemic. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can get the link on our Instagram, and you can also email us at masksnewhampshire@gmail.com. You can DM me and I can send you the link here if you'd like. But yeah, that's what we do at Mass New Hampshire. I'm really grateful to have met all of you and to have been part of this space. And yeah, just reach out if you all need anything via email or Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Han. So we are just going to take a little break here, and then take you into the third and final act of the event. For those of you who are still able to stay awake, and it's okay if you have to go to bed. Please take care of yourselves and go to bed if you need to go to bed right now. We're going to take a break for 5 minutes. So please come back at, what would that be? Quarter past the hour. And we'll
Yes.
see you back here.
All right. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's back from her bio break, from drinking water, just chilling a little bit, taking a, screen time break. I'm just making sure I'm pulling up my notes. All right. There we go. So, yes, welcome back. And now we will be going into the final act of the show. We're so sorry that things went over. It's just a lot of passion. And we just want to thank everyone for just the absolutely amazing engagement and sticking with us. We are just feeling so much love. We'll share more at the end of like the journey to get here. But thank you. If many of you who've been following us for a long time, you know how much we've gone through in the last couple of years, especially in the last year. So now we're going to be introducing the art direction team video. After that, we'll do a dedication to our late Kitty, Mina Serenity, our co-founder, third co-founder. Then Brenda will close, and unfortunately, Brenda will have to shorten a bit, like I mentioned before break. Our fundraiser update, just a quick one. I believe let me refresh. I think we're at 2,654. So still very, very close to 9 grants. And again, we will keep that open until November 1st. So yes, we will go into the art direction team video. You will be seeing me first, and then you will also see Nabila Nugroho, who has been our longtime team member, who is residing in Indonesia. And you will also see Chi White, who's been dropping links in the chat, and is also our art direction team member. Both are our graphics assistants. And Chi resides in Hudson Valley area in New York / Muncie, Lenape, and Mohican lands. I hope I'm saying that correct. We share how we created our frog mascot and these infographics. So take it away. I'm Amaranthia Scipia. My pronouns are she, her. I am the co-founder and art director of Sista Creatives Rising. I am 25 years old, and I'm sitting on a couch with some flower pillows behind me, and I have a black Muse White cap on, some round clear rimmed glasses, a black crop top with a sheer top under it, and black and white pants. Since our first show in 2021, our visual identity's goal is to focus on BIPOC, disabled, and queer artists with no AI art. Our first show, I made 3 meditating women with flower heads surrounded by blues, purples, and pinks. Working with Nabila and Lynn in 2023, who were actually our 2021 artists, helped our branding using sunflowers and fields symbolizing hope, lotuses and lily pads and ponds symbolizing resilience, and incorporating our black curvy goddess with a lotus head from our logo. Like this year's poster, which symbolizes hope among disasters like wildfires and cities under threat. The Lotus Woman finds healing and community in nature within her pond, surrounded by creatures, lotuses, sunflowers, and a forest. I'd say creating this poster with the help of both assistants Nabila and Chi and our new frog mascot was a challenge, because we wanted to create hopeful commentary on the state of the world and make a cute character that's accessible and educational. Lulette is a blue chibi San Jose Conqueror frog with yellow spots, green hands, white markings, and purple highlights. This frog is a species of speckled frogs from Costa Rica that are disappearing. Lulette has her lotus lily beret, a lotus poncho, and sunflower strap medical bag with an N95 and water bottle inside. We felt that these frogs reflect the issues that are going on with disabled and COVID-conscious people who are losing access to the world, becoming sicker and further disabled, resulting in isolation and loss of safety and freedom. I'm excited to do more of this work in the future and hope to provide my graphic skills for other organizations with a similar message.
Hello, I'm Nabila Nugroho, an Indonesia-based artist and graphic designer. I'm a Chinese, fair-skinned girl with long black hair and glasses. Today, I'm wearing a white graphic t-shirt, a black jacket, and black pants while standing in front of a graffiti wall. My most notable works are Magwire, my original character and merchandise line. Also, Crazy Creative, my freelance graphic design service that focuses on branding and illustration. Through Crazy and Magwire, I've collaborated with several local and international brands to help them develop unique brand personalities and standout visuals. Alongside Ama and Claire, the founders of Sister Creative Rising and the ArtMind event, I helped create visuals that reflects this year's theme, COVID, climate, and our future. I'm also very excited to have co-designed Art at Mind's mascot Lilith, a San Jose Cochran frog illustrated in a chibi, anime-inspired style. Honestly, I'm not very used to drawing animal characters, so this has been such a fun learning experience. When I designed Lilith, I wanted to incorporate Art at Mind's elements such as lotuses, sunflowers, and pond-inspired clothing, while also giving her the spirit of an artist and adventurer. It has also been fulfilling to apply these concepts into social media content, posters, and even merchandise. We want participants of this event to feel an immersive, calming, and enlightening atmosphere through visuals that are not only aesthetically pleasing, but also memorable. I would truly appreciate if you checked out my works and perhaps considered hiring me for future graphic design projects. Thank you so much for supporting both Art and Mind and myself.
Hi, I'm Chi, and I'm a black biracial non-binary person with light brown skin and curly black hair. I'm currently wearing a hot pink wig, black studded long sleeve top, and I just removed my black mask. I'm sitting at my iPad at my floor desk in front of a window. I'm a self-taught digital artist who typically focuses on queer people of color as subjects. Aside from my passion projects, my work also includes commissions. Since 2018, I've also contributed to local and virtual advocacy spaces with graphic artworks like promotionals and infographics. This year, I'm excited to have joined Sister Creatives Rising founders Amaranthia Sepia and Claire Jones as part of the team for Art in Mind, COVID, Climate, and Our Future. I'm a graphics assistant, so I worked alongside members of the art team to create on-brand promotional materials for Art in Mind 2025. I was able to use Amaranthia's concepts and theme guidelines for this year's show to brainstorm ideas and create sketches that were later used in collaborative pieces like the frogs, bees, and butterfly that I added to Amaranthia's illustration that was used for our show poster. My main project was researching and illustrating infographics related to our themes of COVID, climate crisis, indigenous sovereignty, and our collective future. Our goal is for those who interact with us to not only be drawn in by the detailed human-made visuals, but also the informative messaging. We strive to be as intentional as possible with the sensitive topics covered, moving with empathy and a true belief in a better future, and offering action steps so our viewers can walk away feeling empowered. I also had the opportunity to create the illustration for our mass fashion contest poster. I wanted the viewers to feel the fun, empowering, and community-centered vibes of the event by featuring stylish, masked BIPOC subjects with varying disabilities spotlighted alongside lively vines and platformed by vibrant flowers in bloom. I'm thankful to be a part of these fully virtual, uplifting events that help create an accessible world for us all.
Thank you so much for all the kind messages and hype for, all the art that came together for this event. It's really amazing seeing all this feedback just throughout. And make sure to follow each of us. I have my own individual Instagram at Amaranthia Sepia Artworks. Nabila has Magwire, MQR, and Crazy Creative, and she has Chillusions, which is all in the chat. And of course, we'll send an email tomorrow with everyone's information. So I just want to also say, as someone who's been on SSI since 2019, I would absolutely love to do this full time, and be able to share my talent with, any other disability organizations, activists, who would love, maybe another virtual event or just graphics or illustrations about these kinds of topics. So again, thank you for the love. And of course, Chi and Nabila are open for work as well. So please check them out. All right. So we are getting close to the end. I will share this art I did here. Hopefully I don't have any glitches. Oh, wait, I think it did glitch. We're just gonna go into our dedication to our kitty, Mina Serenity, which this whole event is dedicated to her. I think I have it. Yes, I do. Oh, 1 second. I'm gonna share the art first. This current share. There we go. So I hope that is showing up correctly. This is recent artwork I did of my kitty, Mina. If you were here at the beginning when we watched the documentary, you would have seen her beautiful, fluffy white face. This is a drawing. It's very abstract, of Mina, my white cat, and very flowy kind of art style. She has a lot of like swirls of blue and pink and purple, and she is resting, sleeping peacefully with a little halo over her head and surrounded by sunflowers. And there's a lot of pink and blue, kind of like polka dots floating around. I'll pass it to my mom, Claire, to read this poem dedicated to Mina, and then we'll show the video. And I hope I don't cry. I probably will. So thank you.
Mina, you were a fluffy white ethereal cloud passing through my now and then blue sky. Some days it would thunder, some days it would rain. On others there was hail. But there you stayed, dependable, unconditional. You taught me how. You saved me when I fell, not knowing cancer had taken root. I saw the empathy in your eyes as you sauntered down the stairs to alert. When I was most alone in my crisis, you covered for me at home, making sure no one was alone. You dished your hugs and kisses, became a cloud in the other skies, holding the fort until I returned, learning to walk again. But you lifted me up, made me laugh when I wanted to cry. Mina, you were the fluffy, white, ethereal cloud passing through my now and then blue sky. Oh, how I miss you. Were you a figment of my imagination? Now you're gone. It seems so unreal. Every corner, every crevice of home, our house, holds residue of you. Oh, how I miss you. Love you always. Rest in peace, my fluffy, white, ethereal cloud.
Thank you. Oh, gosh, I'm definitely gonna cry after the event or during this video. All right, I will stop sharing and my dad, Keith, will take it away. You can end the share. I guess the sunflowers kept going. Thank you so much. Oh, a cat astronaut out backpack. I love that. Yes, she was very talkative. I see the question in the chat. She was a yapper. And we would get into arguments with her. She just was very, very sassy. So I miss her very much. It's been probably almost 7 months since
Mhm.
her passing, her tragic passing. So I'm just trying to keep it together, but thank you. Um, I'll let you read now because I'm just gonna
Yes.
keep crying.
So let's take a breather after that. And I'm gonna wrap up with I'm gonna wrap up the evening and then Brenda is gonna come in. So I want to thank the team and the artists for bringing us this full circle. Thank you for attending and to Pro Bono ASL for providing ASL access. Thanks to Last Ditch Bar in Greenfield, Massachusetts for streaming our show tonight. Thanks to all of you for donating. These grants are made possible by you, our community. Thanks for spreading the word off and online and supporting our infographics and posters. And you putting up the poster?
Yes, sorry. I will put up the poster very quick.
And here is our poster.
1 second. I hope that's showing up. There it is. Okay.
There's our art poster. It shows chaos and crisis in the background with a city engulfed in fire, smog, smoke, and multicolored skies from the heat of the fires. In the foreground, you see the lotus goddess reclining in clear blue water surrounded by greenery, sunflowers, and the beauty of nature. The good health of this environment is reflected by the frogs, bees, and butterflies. They are bioindicators. Bioindicators are a class of creatures in nature that tell us how healthy or unhealthy our environment is. The sunflowers reflect happiness, warmth, vitality, and loyalty. They're also a symbol for invisible disabilities. Lotus flowers reflect purity, rebirth, and spiritual awakening. Some flowers always face and follow the sun. Lotus flowers root in mud. Their beauty is never defiled by the mud. They blossom and flower at the same time, and this represents the law of karma, or cause and effect, showing that in life, no matter how dark it gets, love, light, and hope is always present. The healing message of this poster is rooted in hope, peace, love, and harmonious blessings and light. It was not easy pulling this show together. We had losses at every step of the way, from grant rejections, loss of tech for tonight, team members leaving because of crises, pet deaths, long COVID diagnoses, which shows that COVID is not over. We were even penalized and rejected by grants for being virtual because they felt in-person events have more value. There were times we felt like giving up, but we kept going because we knew our community was waiting to hear from us. We knew we needed to give hope and show resilience, and so we did. We hope you take away that hope and resilience from what we shared tonight. If you like what we did here tonight and would like to support our work, we welcome your sponsorship and support for our next show in 2028. Next year, we distribute our grants, publish my memoir titled Sister Survivor in spring of 2026. In spring of 2026, we open an online store featuring our mascot Lilith the Frog and our many illustrations. And in 2027, we hope to do a hybrid mask-required art show here in New Hampshire. We also hope to create workshops, talks, and showcases as we lead into Art and Mind 2028. If you're interested in our virtual programming, we have workshops and speaking presentations. One of our new talks focuses on working as a mother-daughter team while combating intergenerational trauma. See our speakers info on our website, sistercreatives.com. Sponsoring and funding Art and Mind 2028. Please reach out to us at info@sistercreativesrising.com. Please subscribe to Sister Creatives Rising, our new Substack page, for fun and informative content, and our YouTube channel, Art and Mind Series. And finally, donations are open until November 1st. Thank you once again for your support. and stay safe and protected in your brilliant light. Namaste.
Thank you. I will now pass it to Brenda. That's it, right? Brenda, we were able to catch up on time a little bit, so if you'd like to do the planned closer, you can. So yes, take it away.
I'll do the unplanned closer. But if I can lengthen it, that's cool too. So, wow, thank you to everyone here and everyone who has left because they needed to go, and everyone who signed up but couldn't make it, and especially the entire team, because this is quite the beautiful, powerful project that took this whole collective to do it. It's a lot of work for everyone. And still we are here. So I want to share with you a poem, and then I'll sneak in a little song at the end. 13 moons on turtle's back show us what is real. 13 songs of love and grief help us to heal. When we slow down, breathe, listen, and let the medicine in. Earth, water, tides bringing truth to the shores, while our inner waters are longing for more belonging, acceptance, care, compassion, response, ability instead of reaction. Ancestral memories carried in water move through our blood, witnessing fire and flood, and guiding us through it all if we listen. We dare to remember. We dare to care. We dare to wear the visible symbol on our face of the care we have for the human race. We find ways to gather without safe access to the physical world. Virtuality brings us a new reality of community care, creating safe spaces, picking up the pieces of who we are becoming. Resilience is just the beginning of the story, told by this respiratory reality, unreality that reaches deep, deep in and through the blood within you, especially when you inhale too much CO2. We must filter with the world off kilter, holding space for humanity to find its way, while we create access to something deeper in virtual circles with open hearts and minds flowing with spirit, holding and unfolding, bringing us together. We need each other to reflect back to us the love and beauty within. The gifts we are here to share may yet be uncovered, but they sit deep within us until those ancestral memories bubble up like an overflowing river, reminding us we are here on purpose, with purpose, and we are not alone. You are not alone. The degradation of all our nations may be heavy on your heart, but your spirit is strong, and you do belong. Come gather with us in safe virtual spaces, circles full of spirit and creativity and people uplifting humanity like you. Come and empty out and fill up your cup with remembering. You want the walls to fall. You want true renewal, not promises that were broken before they were even spoken. You can feel yourself reawakening to something powerful. That power is you. You feel that mysterious pull to dive deeply into your personal becoming. Let me help you dance between the pieces falling away and the pieces your spirit wants you to pick up and hold. And I'm going to throw this in the chat, but I do events all the time, come join Sister Creative Risings events. All of us are doing good in the community, and we need to share as much as we can and gather together. Keep gathering. Keep gathering. Okay? Keep gathering. So I'm going to sing a little bit of something, and I don't know what it will be. So just breathe into your whole self. Love up yourself so, so much right now. Let the medicine tears flow if they're coming too. And whatever else your body leads you to do. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 way higher, way higher, way higher. Oh, oh, higher. Oh, we all are here with our full hearts and empty minds, letting it all go. 'Cause we know. Just breathe in all the love in this space right now. Just soak it right up in all of your cells. And I want to wish you just a beautiful, beautiful night, morning, afternoon, whatever it is for you. And I'm going to say Chimigwech, hi, hi, Mr. Hey, Marcy, Mr. Hey, just many thanks. And so many blessings to everyone here. Yeah, hi, hi. Thank you. And I'll say Bamapi, see you later. And Echo say Maka, that's it, that's all. Take good care.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Brenda, for closing us out. Oh my gosh. Some of those notes just hit you in like certain parts of your body, and it's just wild. Like, Brenda, you are definitely medicine song woman. Like, come on. Thank you all so much for sticking with us. I know we went over a little bit. But please take care out there, take care of yourselves, and hopefully some of the messages that have resonated with you today, you can take with you and to your loved ones, make connections out there. Like Brenda said, keep gathering, stay safe out there. Much love and good energy to all of you. Have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it may be. This has been Art in Mind 2025. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. And the feedback form, I see a couple questions about it. It will remain open. I'm not closing it. We will send it tomorrow in our Give Butter newsletter. And all the other links and information. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm probably just gonna crash shortly after this.
Yes.
So we're gonna talk with our team and then we're gonna log off. So everyone else, thank you. Thank you,
Good
thank
night.
you.